Can you guys hear me at all? Relatively well? All right. I'm going to speak loudly. This is a pretty short presentation, so I'm going to go through this pretty fast, but happy to answer questions afterwards as you need to. So what I'm going to talk a little bit about today is first and foremost the evolution of gaming, and talking specifically around social gaming. So when we think of what gaming was in the 80s, especially social gaming, it was really you calling a friend over, sitting in front of a console game and playing against each other. Then when we moved to the 90s, what ended up happening was you would actually bring big desktop computers into a single room, pretty much the same temperature that it is right now, and you'd play against each other in like these type of LAN parties. And then as gaming went across in the 2000s, it was really interesting because graphics was really the thing that really ruled everything. It was these beautiful new games that ended up starting to come out on PlayStation and many of these other consoles. So what was interesting is when 2007 hit, something really interesting happening in the gaming world. And what always tends to, when I think about it, what always is something interesting to, what happened actually in 2007 was how did these two guys suddenly beat out all the rest of them? And beat it out so much so that it started going against some of the most popular games and most popular TV shows as well. So as an example, in 2007, we would see that Cityville and Farmville, as an example, were actually outperforming American Idol, NCIS, and some of the most popular TV shows that are out there. And when you dissect as to why this started to happen, you actually realize that the gamer had completely changed. What we define as what a gamer is was really one of the kids on the side who was playing, a teenager, the mother usually yelling at him, trying to ask them, hey, you need to go do your homework. But in actuality, what ended up happening was it was the mother that actually became the gamer. And it was the mother that was actually engaging in a lot of these types of social games. And the gamer and the evolution changed. The average gamer on some of these games like Cityville and Farmville was a 43-year-old mom with children, which is crazy. And when you think about the concept of keeping up with the Joneses, it wasn't really the fact that who had the nicer car, the nicer house. It was more like who had the better farm, who sort of had the better virtual status that came out of it. And some of the best ways of thinking about why status is important, and this conference does a great job of actually exemplifying that, is one of my own anecdotes that I had when I was recently traveling in Dubai. They know in Dubai, some of the best cars that you can have out there, people will buy Bentleys, Mercedes, all these things, but it wasn't enough just to one-up each other from a car standpoint. It ended up being that people wanted to, it was a status symbol to have a low number license plate. So they would auction off 1 through 100, and they would figure out who would actually be, how much would one pay for number 1 to number 100. And what was interesting is that this gentleman right here actually ended up paying $14 million to put a number 1 license plate on his own car. It is incredible to see what status does to people. And what we started to do was figuring out where is the convergence between status, rewards, and ultimately promotions. And that's really where I Feel Good's kind of started. So in thinking about the reward standpoint of things, when we think about these types of coupons, rebates, discounts, all these types of promotions, they've been essentially traditional promotions. There's buy one, get one free, there's these traditional rebates, and yet the interesting thing is nothing is actually personalized. And 2010 really changed that concept. What ended up happening was that you had things like Groupon and Living Social where consumers felt as though 50% off was actually the new 10% off. And when you talk to retailers at the time, they were like, we have no idea how we're going to compete against some of these types of deals because it's completely eroding our margins. And so what I Feel Good sought to do is try and figure out a more effective promotion and a more effective reward. And we saw the convergence of these daily deal space, and we saw the convergence of gaming, and we said, why can't we offer the things that people love to play for, love to actually pay for money for, and offer that as a reward? And that's really what we do. What I Feel Goods does is it's the easiest way of being able to reward your customers. And what we do is instead of giving coupons, rebates, and discounts, we actually directly give iTunes currency, Facebook currency, Skype minutes, airline miles, everything that you fundamentally want, we actually give that as a reward. We've done it for over 100 clients now. We give out 100 different rewards in our portfolio, work with the biggest brands like Gap, Walmart, Groupon, and many of these others. And what we really pinpointed on was this concept of perceived value. It's interesting that all of us have this idea of having an iPhone, and we cringe every time someone's like, hey, download this app, it's 99 cents. And we're like, nah, that's all right. It's a little too expensive for me. But we give a $1 tip to a cab driver, and we don't even think about it. It's the same value, but it's just a little bit of a different perception. And so what we really focused on being able to do is give out rewards that people actually care about. And what happened was when we flipped this model and we actually started to give the newest version of Angry Birds as an example, people went crazy over it. They actually would start engaging. They would do different types of things. And we call that concept more transactional loyalty. It's not that you have to earn a lot of points to then burn it for something big. You can actually start giving micro incentive or micro rewards to actually get the consumer to start engaging. So in our rewards catalog, the things that we start to give are things like Xbox Live points or Pandora points or Skype minutes or even small things like the newest version of Cut the Rope as an example. And clients like we work with, like Coca-Cola, Walmart, have started to embrace this. There's no reason that they need to actually just give traditional coupons and discounts anymore. They actually have the ability now to give things that the consumers fundamentally want. And what we've been able to do is make it very easy for these guys to get up and running and do it. So as Mother's Day is coming along, we have clients like 1-800-Flowers giving Facebook credits when a consumer makes a purchase, or a $10 iTunes code, or even 50 Farmville cash, given that the average gamer is a 43-year-old mom, as an example. And what we really sought to do is being able to give it on an instant redemption and give instant delight. This entire industry, if you think about being able to ship a gift card, took 3 to 4 weeks. And our goal was to bring that into the cloud in a fraud-proof way. And so what we were able to do, and what we found in a lot of our studies, is that this performs 2 to 3 times better when you're actually giving the end reward, the consumer's clicking on it on an advertising standpoint, and they're actually sharing it at a very high rate. 70% of our customers are sharing the fact that they just got these rewards, and 30% of customers are coming back through that funnel. So fundamentally, when we look down at what really makes the difference and what we've found as being a huge, huge aspect, it is the fact that consumers like having that choice. We give them the choice of you can get airline miles, you can get other things, and when you give, you actually tap into this concept of building on that brand. So I love Apple, I'm a huge Apple fanboy. Even if I see a free song on Apple iTunes, that's still intriguing to me. And that's hell of a lot worth more than 50 cents or trying to encourage someone for 50 cents. And so what we've found is we're always looking for opportunities and ways of how do we expand this platform and program. So in the short time that I have, the key takeaways I would say is give rewards to, that consumers can understand. Loyalty does not have to be an earn and burn situation. It can actually be transaction. You can give it directly. Finding rewards that have a perceived value. Giving micro rewards, things like iPhone apps, things like airline miles, all these small types of rewards can actually go. I went through that really fast, I know. I'm the one standing between you for the break. I'm happy to answer further questions on this, but I appreciate the opportunity. And